Good afternoon, everyone. Maybe before I go into talking a little bit about John, I just want to say, Dr. Gulliver, many of us come to these conferences and we attend these industry events, but your speech just made this one. So thank you for sharing those kind words. I'm fortunate enough to be introducing a longtime friend in John Haslam. As Lauren just mentioned, he probably touched, hopefully, many of you today as he shared what they're doing with Alexion. But before I talk about his new company, I do want to talk a little bit about his past. Like many of us, he entered this industry as a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed youngster. We're all getting older, unfortunately, but he started the industry as a drug rep back in 1990, working for Bayer. Similar to many in this room, he went up through the ranks, through product management, sales management, and then decided to make a move over to Roche. And it's interesting because as he went into the Roche environment, he continued to take on many more senior positions in director roles. From there, he actually went into Biogen Idect and joined their leadership team for a number of years. He then made a bit of a switch. He actually became a consultant. He actually worked closely with companies like Nycomed and UCB. But I'll never forget it because I first met John in 2003. And it's an interesting story because there's quite a few people in the room from Roche. And when I started Antibody, the first presentation we ever made as an agency, and back then we were an agency of two, it was Graham Downey who's in the room, Robin Hunter's in the room, and actually John was the director. So he's been able to see the growth of Antibody over the years. And in 2009, as he had left the industry to a degree, he was doing some consulting work, my phone rings, and it's John Haslam. And he was very excited, and mainly because he had just become employee number one in this company that was coming to Canada called Alexion. Personally, I'd never heard of Alexion, probably not many people did back in 2009, and I could hear the excitement in his voice that he's joining this new company. It's really interesting. I know there's a few people in the room have been part of startups, as I have, and startups are not for the faint of heart. It takes a lot of work, a lot of dedication. What's interesting with John is I think his corporate address for the first while of Alexion was his basement. So here he is working out of his own home for quite some time. What's really interesting and rewarding for me as one of my friends is he got to see the growth of my company over the last 13 years. Since 2009 when he started Alexion, I've now had the privilege of watching him start this company as employee number one and build it from the ground up. I can tell you now they're into their second office space. They're just north of 50 employees. And what's really interesting for me, and I'm lucky because I get to see a lot of the industry given the number of pharma companies that we partner with, but he's really been able to attract top talent and keep top talent. And that's a tough thing in our industry. Someone said that today. I think there's a big reason why. It's because of John Haslam. If you know John, you probably love John. When I asked a number of his senior staff within Alexion to give me a few words to describe him, it's so funny because most of them have very similar terms. Sincere. And if you know John, once again, he's probably one of the most sincere people you ever meet. Hardworking, passionate, all these sorts of things. But one comment that really stuck with me actually came from one of his vice presidents, and it was he put staff before himself. I think this is really one of the reasons why he's able to drive this company. And if you were like me today, and I work very closely with Alexion, so the videos and the pictures that he shared with you today at the Congress, I have seen many times. The funny part was, or I guess the interesting part is it still brings a tear to my eye as you see what they're doing, how they're impacting some of these folks. I think Mitch said it at the very end that he actually saw a drug today grow bone in a patient who was suffering from this terrible condition. And this is the one thing I believe that John brings into Alexion, into our industry, is unbridled passion and passion for the patient. We all work in the industry. Every company talks about being patient-centric and putting the patient first. At Alexion, and hopefully you saw it this morning, that's what he does on a daily basis, and this drives right through his entire company. The good news is that the passion is not just for Alexion. He is the proud father of 4, and that passion he takes home on a nightly basis as he raises his 3 sons and daughter. I've been very fortunate. I did not know John before 2003. As I said, I've known him now for 13 years. He's become an incredible friend, partner, mentor. But as I said, I've had nothing but sheer enjoyment watching him grow this company called Alexion from one person in their basement to now a very much a thriving company and succeeding in our healthcare environment. So with that, I would like to congratulate and ask John to come forward as he is inducted into the 2015 Hall of Fame.
Thank you, James. I sincerely appreciate the kind words and your friendship and support over the many years we've known each other. It's meant a great deal to me, and I want to thank you. I'd also like to thank those that nominated me and Mitch and the team at Chronicles for this honor, and it truly is an honor. And congratulations to my fellow inductees, both today as well as in previous years. It really is an honor and a privilege to be considered for this award, let alone to be standing here in front of all of you receiving it. I'd like to start by thanking my family. At the age of 19, I lost my father to a heart attack and was fortunate enough to be raised by an incredible woman, an inspiring lady, my mother, Jacqueline. She'd been a pillar of strength for her 5 children, 14 grandchildren, and now 5 great-grandchildren. And as James said, I've also been blessed with 4 amazing children, Daniel, Michael, Katie, Nicholas, who are my source of inspiration in all that I do. It's hard to believe that 25 years ago, when I was trying to figure out what to do with my life and bouncing around from a Bachelor of Science to a business degree, that the pharmaceutical industry would represent such a great opportunity to make a difference in people's lives. Time has certainly flown by, but this industry is so special to me, not just because I've worked with many transformative, groundbreaking products, but because I've had the honor to working with so many exceptional people who are all united in the same cause, and that cause is to make a difference for patients and their families. I've also been extremely fortunate in my career to have had many incredible mentors along the way. My days at Bayer, I want to thank people like Jamie Williams and Robin Lawrence and Clemens Kaiser, who as leaders took the time to explain to me, teach and inspire, and give me confidence in myself and what I had to offer. These were leaders who led the right way. I was also very fortunate to be part of Hoffman LaRoche. Ronnie and Ed, who are on my panel, incredible company, an incredible training ground, in a great and successful company today. I learned at the time from great leaders such as Shal Jacobowitz, Pat Forsyth, who many of you know, Sean McBride, and a previous inductee here, Paul Cusimano, who very touched that he could be here today as well. Principled leadership, inspiring a team, great role models. Their leadership made us better and motivated us to strive to new heights. And at Biogen, and in my days there, I had the great pleasure of meeting Dr. Wayne Gulliver, who not only touched me today with his speech, but such a wonderful individual and somebody who is a great industry ambassador on the clinician side. And Wayne, just wonderful to see you again after all these years. I'd like to thank Rob Hamilton and Glenn Block for their ongoing inspiration and support at Biogen. And that brings me to Alexion. And my thanks to Joe Knott. Joe Knott was the individual who actually introduced me to Alexion, and I'm forever grateful to Joe for that support. I'd also like to say that Alexion, and where we started 6 years ago, it's been a very special experience. And it began with a passion to transform patients' lives with rare disease, providing hope and a chance for them to live normal lives. Many of the things that you and I take for granted were such a struggle for these patients, and to be able to offer them something that just allowed them to lead a normal life, and it makes such a profound difference. And yes, the journey did start in my house, but with the belief that one day this would be a great company serving rare disease patients across Canada. So to my team at Alexion, many of them are here today, Matt, Zena, Graham, who's not only been with me at Alexion, but at a number of other companies, and to Gerard Fernandez, who is a second-generation pharmaceutical marketer, and his dad, Rudy, is here today. Rudy, you have an incredible son, and somebody who's been a partner and somebody who's supported me over the many years. And at Alexion, it truly is what our motto tells us, and that is that every day matters. And today and tomorrow and yesterday, every day matters to making a difference for our patients. And I guess I really feel like one of the luckiest peoples in the industry, having been given the opportunities I have, the great people I've met along the journey, and that chance to make a difference for patients and their families. For this, I'm truly grateful. To all of you, I say the industry does so much good in this world, and it is an honor to be a part of it and to serve our patients both today and in the future. Thank you.